Hey, very good morning. I'll be counting from 1 to 3 and then we'll begin the session. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so in this session, I'll be discussing on the problem that is detection and locomotion of vaccine boxes on a conveyor system. I'll be also discussing on why it is important and how we can solve this problem. Okay, so what we have here right now is we have a company named Vaccinator Private Limited, and they have a problem. The problem is that their current production system, they are trying to palletize the vaccine boxes on the conveyor line, and it is done manually, so that is very inefficient, and it is not able to meet up the demand which is there currently in the supply chain. So they want a solution which can quickly palletize these vaccine boxes, so that it can increase the production rate, right? And as you can see, the current system, it has a conveyor belt, and these are the vaccine boxes which we might use in the simulation, and this is the actual box. And their main intention right now is to detect those boxes, like whether the box is defective or whether the box is normal, and it should be automatically able to move it around the conveyor belt for now, right? They have an overarching big problem, but that we'll discuss on the later stage. Okay, so now next is to address this problem. Let's say when the vaccinator contacts Rahul, and Rahul says, okay, so I have an idea. I'll use robotics and automation technology to solve this. I'll have sensors and actuators attached in a way which will automatically pick these boxes and palletize it. The vaccinator is very happy with the proposal, and they ask you that, okay, Rahul, how much will this cost me to make this system? And you calculate, okay, there's sensors, there's actuator, there's jig, there's fabrication which is required to attach all the mounting sensors, and there are many things involved, right? So you say $1 million just for testing the idea. And at this stage, the vaccinator won't be very intrigued, basically. He would be intrigued, stating this is a lot, and it would be a better proposal if you validate the idea before this investment is made, right? In some way, like so to validate the idea which you have, you don't have any ability to physically make it due to cost constraint. So the second best thing is to have a software solution which simulates your idea, and it gives the iterate on the simulation environment, try different configurations. You quickly and efficiently come up with a solution, and you show it to the vendor. You show it to the vindicator and vaccinator, sorry, and they look at your solution, and they get interested. Okay, right, this is something which is possible, and they might be convinced. They might be convinced to invest the set amount to have this robotics system installed in their premise in the factory. Okay, so now there are different softwares for simulating this robotic and automation solution. There are like Coppelia Sim, Robot Studio, Gazebo. Then there is VRobot, then Technomatic. Each has its own pros and cons. We'll be focusing on Coppelia Sim for this lab session. That is because it doesn't have a steep learning curve. It can work out of the box, and all the scripts required to operate the whatever robotic system which you have, it can be written inbuilt, or there are APIs to have external script incorporated in the system to work with the system. So it's very easy to develop in Coppelia Sim. So I'll let you know how to install this software and what approach should you take to address this problem statement in the comment section. So let's get started. Firstly, we will install the Coppelia Sim software. So we'll go to this website. We'll Since I'm on a Windows system, I'll be using Copilot Sim v4.2.0. If you guys are on a Linux or a Mac, you can choose the appropriate versions. Then, okay, so I'll be using a Edu version. We go download, I understand the terms and conditions, I click understand, continue download. And I can save the file, but I have already downloaded it earlier, so I won't do that. You guys can go ahead, save it, and like complete the process. Then I have the files with me, so I go to the file. So it's extracting the files, and this process will take like 10 to 15 minutes. I'll speed up in the video, right? It's just click next, and I don't want to create a shortcut, so I'll just untick that. Next. Okay, so yes, launch the file and finish. Okay, so we have Copilot Sim installed now, and this is, I think so, the simulation environment, and we'll explore what is there here. There are a bunch of robotic arm manipulators, delta type, articulated type, ABV. Okay, this seems to be an interesting one. So we can just pick and place a robotic system over here, and like, I don't know. Okay, this seems to be an interesting thing. There are basically different models, which these are like libraries, I think so. Like there are ready-made things which we can add. Like there'll be like, okay, so okay, cool. So now we see there's a file menu over here. There's panning. Okay, there are different tools. I'd be interested in exploring any predefined programs, right? Like this is just a blank box. So we'll open a new scene, and let's just see. Let's see. UR5, I think so. Let's see. UR5. Like what's that? That's okay. Okay, this seems to be like a robotic arm. There's a conveyor belt, and there are a bunch of blocks. Okay, let's just simulate it. Okay, this is basically detecting, okay, there's a block, stop, you pick it, place it, and it's gone. Okay, okay, that's the algorithm. This seems to be running a bit fast. I think so. It's I'll see. Okay, real time. Okay, RT. Let's play it in real time and see how fast or slow it is. Okay, this seems to be a real time operation now. Okay. Oh, okay, cool. Let's see what else is there. Right. We'll try something like pick and place, similar to this concept, right? Pick and place demo. We'll see what's there. Okay, this is like a delta bot, and there's a conveyor belt. There are a bunch of blocks here. I see that. Okay, so let's just run it. Okay, so there are small blocks coming up with a random pattern, not necessarily with a pattern, basically red, blue, green, and it has been detected by some sensor, and this delta robot picks it in a particular order and places it in a particular order, basically. And okay, apparently these all has to fall in the abyss. Okay, okay, this is something interesting. Let's try. Let's see something else now. Let's see. Let's see which one. Okay, you robot. Okay, you bot. Okay, these are blocks over here. There's a mobile robot with a mechanism wheel and a robotic arm. There's a goal. So I assume these blocks has to be placed over here, and this is like a stacking point. Like it will place one here and then go. Let's see. Let's run and see what's happening here. Okay, so the delta bot goes there. It goes place it at the goal. Okay, it picks this. What does it do with that? Okay, it goes and places at the stacking point, I think. Okay, okay, it dropped the block. Oh, this is cool. Okay, it is still able to do this. Okay, this is nice. Okay, it is picking the green blocks now. I assume, okay, so this is what, okay, it can't, it has to do it one by one. Okay. Hmm. Red block, it can't keep. This is like stacking form, okay. Uh, this is like a typical recursion problem actually, it's trying to solve, but this is like in a real world example. Physically it is doing that. Okay, this is all good. What we are here for is like how do we do all this cool stuff, right? So basically, I'll in the next section I'll do that. Okay, let's just jump into that. I'll create a new scene. It's like blank thing. Okay, let's just first focus on making a simple block in the simulation. Like I just want a block to be in the simulation. So how do I do that? Right? I see there's an add over here and there's a primitive shapes. Okay, so this like I can add some shapes over here. The cylinder, sphere. Add a cubert. Cubert is like a box. It is asking me to tell the size in x-axis, y-axis, z-axis. For now, it is 1 meter, 10 centimeter, 10 centimeter, 10 centimeter. Okay, let's then don't worry about the density right now. Okay, so I have a block at some point in my platform. Okay, I would like this box to move, like let's say somewhere on the y-axis. Let's see how to do that. There's this option which says object shift. Okay, so I get this something like this. Can I just, oh right, I can just pan it in x and y, right? But I want it to be in a particular, let's say I want it to be with respect to the word frame, I want it to be in x0, y0, and about 1 meter in z axis. So it's like it's in the air, middle of the air. 1 meter is, let's just see what happens, right? So 1 meter is way up the air. I'll have it like 0.5 meters or something, right? Okay, 0.5 is somewhere over here. Okay, let's just see what happens if I just run the simulation then. In real time, okay, it just blocked, it just falls down, right? Okay, there's nothing more to that. What if I want to change the color of this block? I'll, I'll, I'll see if there's anything to edit. What if, okay, I'm running the simulation, I can't do stuff when it's a simulation. Okay, now it's in the air. Okay, now I want to edit it, right? So I go here, I double click on it. Okay, it gives me this scene object properties, and I want now to change the color, right? So there's a visual property colors. I go to colors and let's see, ambient and diffuse component. So I go there and let's say I want it to be a red block. So I'll make everything as, okay, so I have a red block now, right? Okay, I'll save it. It is saved, I think so, right? Let's say we want another block to add. I'll control C, control V. I have another block, right? I'll say this one as a, rename it. I'll rename it as box 1. Box 1. I'll rename, apologies for that. Box 1, enter. I'll rename this as box 2, enter. Okay, so now the position of the box 1 and box 2 are the same. So I want to change the position of the box 2, right? Because I don't want it to be merged some way. Okay, so how do I change the location now? Okay, as we did it earlier, like this is how we change the location in the environment. Let's say it's slightly on the about 50 centimeters on the y-axis positive, and I want it to be a different color, like this is like a same color. Okay, so for different color, we know what to do, right? We just go to the, double click on it, we go to the adjust color, ambient, and we, let's say this one is like green, this one is green, so we have a green box now, yeah? Right? Okay, so we have a green box and a red box. Now let's say what else we can do. Let's say this box has to be a bit smaller, right? This one is a bit big, this one is a bit, both are of the same size actually. We want the green box to be a bit smaller. So what we'll do is we'll just go view modify geometry, right? So here it is around, I'll make it 0.8. This is like 8 centimeters. And it had made 8 centimeters for because it's a cuboid, right? Apply and this, yeah, okay, we can see it's a bit smaller. We just play and see what happens. Yeah, it just falls, right? Okay. So this is one part, like we have tried adding some boxes and we have changed the color and like, okay, we were changing the position as well. Now what if I want to add a sensor to this? Like I want to detect where this box is. Okay, so I'll add a, let's say, proximity sensor. Proximity sensor, here's a proximity sensor. There are different types of proximity sensor. There's a ray. Let's say I don't know anything on this. Like okay, let's say I don't know anything on this. I'll jump and look at an example, existing example. Okay, so let's say there's a something on proximity. Okay, there's a demo over here. Let's just run and see what happens with that. Okay, so I can see there's a spider over here. There's a cone. There are different rays. Okay, let's just run and see, right, what's happening here. I can see there's a ray and it's trying to detect this motion and okay, it tells me the distance, I think so. Okay, yeah, it tells me the distance between the ray and the spider thing. Okay, let's run it again and see once more what's happening here. It was a bit fast. Okay, so there are different workspace. I can understand like different types of sensor. Let's say ultrasonic sensor will have a cone like this, but a laser sensor will have a line basically, right? So this is like different sensor profile. It can. Oh, the spider just fell down. Okay, right. So let's. I understand like okay, there are different types of sensor, and this is just for that. Okay, if some reference is required, we can just come here and back and see that, right? We will just move back to the scene again, which we were running. So this is the one which we have right now, and we want to add a proximity sensor, right? So we go to the simulation, add actually, not simulation, proximity, and let's just add a ray type. Like it's a single line, and it's okay. From what I can understand here is like this is detecting towards the top. I want the sensor to be oriented on the like rotated 90-degree in the x-axis, like along the x-axis, right? Because it's like I don't want to. Let's just move the proximity sensor first, right? Like that's first task we should do. I move it like this. Okay, it's able to move, right? Okay, now let's see if I can rotate it. I want to rotate the sensor. So there's a rotation over here. Okay, so I want it to be rotated in. We see over here x is here, red is x. I want to rotate in x using right hand rule. I can see I want to rotate in x negative x axis, negative 90-degree, x negative 90-degree. Okay, so let's see what happens. Yeah, I got it in the orientation which I wanted, right? Okay, so now I have, I'll control Z this. Okay, so this is okay, cool. Let's run the simulation. What's it? Okay, can I? Oh, this is actually a bit. I'll change the height. I'll bring it a bit down. Let's see how to do that. We already know, right, how to do that. We go to the, we select the object, we select, this is, okay, we may make it as 10 centimeters. The smaller box was 8 centimeters, right? So we'll make it as 0.5 actually, 5, right? So we get to that location. Okay, so we have that in the plane. Let's also rotate it in the other axis, that is we rotate it around the, what is this? This is x, this is x, this is y, this is z. No, this is y axis, right? We also wanted to rotate in y axis so that it's pointing towards the box. We also rotate it back to the y axis. So we want to rotate 90 degree in the y-axis with respect to the own frame, right? With respect to the own frame, we want it to be rotating 90 degrees, and that should be in the positive direction, right? Okay. So we have that in that orientation. Okay, that's cool. Okay, let's just see. And what we see is it's not like showing any visual change when it is. I'll move the sensor as along as we go along with this. Yeah, the simulation is running still, it's not detecting, right? That is because we haven't told the simulation that these blocks are detected by a sensor. So what we have to do is we have to click on the sensor block, and let's say we go to common, and here the object special properties, right? So we have to tell it is detectable, and we can explore it further. Like there are different sensors which we can add, like and it can be detected by ultrasonic, it can be detected by laser. So there are different properties which can be added. For now we are just having everything. Okay, so we add that. Then next what we do is, so let's just run the simulation again, and we see now, right? Okay, now it is detecting the block. But if we move it to the other block, since it is not set to be detected, it won't like detect that, right? Okay, so we'll also make this as detectable. Okay, so here we go, we make that also detectable. Click on that, go to common, detail, detectable. Okay, cool. So we have both of them set to be detectable. Okay, this one is detectable, and I go again here, move it. Okay, I have to change this, right? Okay, now this one is detectable. Okay, cool. But this is all visually good, but how will I, let's say I want to see it in the graph, like what's happening here, right? Or so I want to see it in the graph, right? So I'll just add a graph. Okay, the graph is there, right? But now I have to mention in the graph, like, okay, this is what I want to sense. So how do I do that? Uh, let's just see how it was done on the proximity sensor. There's also a graph here, right? So in this, let's just explore this one. This one is okay. It what it does is it makes a handle, like it tells, okay, this is proximity 3 is a proximity 3. Then graph handler, it gets the name of the graph handler. Then it streams the array in that. So this is what we need actually for write. We have to write a script to give the readings. Like we have to stream this data to the graph to visualize it, right? So this is what we copy and we paste it in the yes, this one, right? So there's a script here, not in this one. We have to do that for the proximity sensor, right? We go to the proximity sensor. We add a script, child script, non-threaded, and we go there. There are many things here. We'll just copy paste. There's already a sensing, so we'll remove sensing again. Okay. So let's see. We save this. We do this. We close it, and we run. What happens? We'll see. Okay. So when we see when it is detecting, it's giving a, with respect to time, it's giving some constant value. We move the sensor and see what happens, so that we see change, right? Yeah, we see a change now. With respect to the previous, it has, so this is, the farther it goes, the distance increases, right? So that's why. Let's say we move it this way. So it's not detecting anything, so that's why it is 0. Now it is detecting again. So we go closer, we go closer, we go farther, we go farther. It's detecting, right? But okay, cool. So now we want to add a vision sensor in the simulation. So for that, first we do is we stop the simulation, then we go add vision sensor perspective type. We move it. Let's say we move it in this direction. We rotate it also in y-axis by 90 degree. We have it somewhere over here. Now we'd like to see what the sensor is seeing, right? So to do that, we have to add something called a floating view. Okay. Now this floating view, you have to associate it with the vision sensor. So now whatever the vision sensor sees will be displayed over here when the simulation is running. Now we run the simulation, and we see it's seeing the red block, and we move the vision sensor around. So sees the green block and the floor and the farther background that is black. But one thing we observe is that this is rotated by 90 degree. So we want it to be horizontal, right? So we can change the orientation of the sensor by rotation. We want to rotate it in the Z axis. We rotate it. Okay. So now it's a bit appropriate, right? Okay. We control Z this. Right. We run this. Right, right. I was making changes during the simulation, so if I make changes, it won't be saved. So I have to stop. I have to rotate it in the 1, 2, 3. Now it's fine. Let's run it. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So we have the simulation running with the appropriate orientation of the camera, and we can now move the sensor. Now what we want to do is we want to see the RGB values so that we can visualize this in a graphical manner. How much is the red compared to the other pixels in the image, right? So to do that, we'll add graph, and we have another graph which is having graph 0. That's the name of the graph, right? Okay. Now we have to, similar to the previous example of for interfacing with graph, we have to, like, we will just see the script for what was written for the proximity sensor. We'll copy these, we'll paste this in the vision. So we add a associate child non-thread, and we open it, Control V. Okay, so we'll see what's happening here this time in a bit detail. So so this sensor handler is basically an object for this vision sensor. This sim.handler self will get the name of this object. So here, if in place of this, we can also write VISION underscore SENSOR. So this is equivalent to the sensor name of the sensor. Now second is we have to tell what is the graph handler. So graph, this time we want to be on a separate graph. So it's 0, right? This is the graph. And for now, we'll just try to, let's say, vision sensor RGB. So we'll try to first just see the R. Unit is in value, and color, this is represents R, this is G, and this is B. So we want maximum R, there's no G and there's no blue. So we've set the graph stream parameters for that. Now next is okay, we won't be using the API to get the proximity sensor in this one. So we'll remove this, or else I'll just comment this for now. We'll comment this, and this. Now we need to okay, so we'll go and have a look at the API. API for the vision sensor. Control F, VISION. So this here, right? Sim read sensor value. So this is what we use to read the values. So here, this is we use this basically synopsis for LoRa. So this is how we get the values, and now it returns 3 types: return, table, and return will tell us whether it has detected some pre-configured. It's basically a boolean, yes or no, and we'll see what does it return. It stays here, yeah. It states here. So by default, auxiliary values are packaged. Now we see it's the same as C function. So what are the values? Auxiliary values. It sends 15 values basically. first is the minimum of intensity, red, green, blue, and depth. Next is the maximum of red, blue, and depth, and then average of intensity, red, green, blue, and depth. So what we will be interested in is looking at the average, and only the green one first will try to attempt to visualize, right? So for that, okay, so we have an idea. We know this is this will be returning a auxiliary value. Okay, so now auxiliary value, it's just a name, we can have anything over there. So now we have to also tell the handler name. So handler name is sensor handler. So we have that name over here, and control V. So we have the handler given, we have the values over it. Okay, I have to copy this, control C, control V. Okay, now it's proper, right? Now what we do is we print the values for now. We'll just see what's happening. And what the value exactly which we are interested in is, think of aux value as an array, and we are looking at the, okay, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we are looking at 12. We will be printing just the 12 right now, right? Okay. Okay, for now we also stream the values. We also put it in the graph and see that what's happening there. So we go call the graph handler. We tell that we give the stream R. The value over here this time is aux value. This is the value which we have to pass. So we pass this value. We save X, and okay. Now let's run the simulation. So on the graph 2, we see some values for X. We'll move the sensor around so that we get different readings. Okay, so right now there's no, okay, so if this is completely green, then there's no red over there. So, okay, so it's making sense, right? The values are correct. So now we'll add another RG, let's say we'll add a green because we have a green block here. So it's a similar procedure. We go to the script, we have to just read the stream data. Okay, first we have to mention in the, we'll have graph stream for blue. Okay, this it makes a bit easy, so we'll make this stream of red. This is stream of blue. So, and similarly we have to not blue, actually green, sorry, yeah, green, and green is 13. So next RGB, so green next, then blue will be 14. Okay, so we save this. Okay, right. We see the values over here as well. Just this for red actually. Let's see it. Okay. I didn't change this. This is G, and I have to change the color over here. This has to be green. Okay, Control C, Control V. Okay, done. So now I play this again. So it's there's the green is very less. We move the sensor around towards the green, and we see, okay, there's no not much red, and now green is there. So okay, so this is a brief of the sensor. Okay, so let's jump to the problem statement now. So what's the problem statement? That is detection and locomotion of vaccine boxes on conveyor system, right? So what we have right now in the simulation is a proximity sensor and a box, and what we want to do is to change this generic box to a vaccine box. So to do that, what we do is we go to the object, we go adjust texture, we load a new texture. These are the predefined textures which I have created. You guys can select one which is appropriate. Then we scale it appropriately. So we scale it as 0.1 in U and 0.1 in V. So now, and this has to be projected around the cube, right? Yeah, so in all the axes it's there. Right, so now we have the vaccine box, which is visually correct. Then next is to have a conveyor system. As we see here, it should be on a conveyor system. So we add a conveyor system to this somewhere over here, and let's just play. What happens, we'll see. So it is detecting, the sensor is detecting, and since the conveyor system is not configured to stop when the detection is there, the box just falls down. Okay. So now there are two things. One is the detection of it, and one is the locomotion of the conveyor. Detection of the vaccine box, and other is the locomotion of the box on the conveyor system. So now for the detection, I won't go into deep because that was already previously taught. So we tell the script that this is the proximity sensor object, and we get the readings from that using this command, right? So the script knows, like, okay, once the object is detected, it will get the output. So now the next is to control the conveyor system velocity, like, so that we can, like, when the box is detected, it should stop, right? So let's just see see what's there, what's predefined script. Okay, so in this predefined script, we see that to control the conveyor system externally from our other scripts, we can use this line. Okay, so we just copy this and we paste it to the proximity sensor scripts. We paste it over here. But now what we want to do is, only when the sense is detected, it has to stop the conveyor belt, right? For now, let's just that be our target, right? So now, firstly, we'll convey the child script that this is an object. So we have appropriate annotation for that. Convey here. Okay, so CONVEYOR. Okay, so the spelling is correct. Okay, so next is to write that if result, that is, if the sensor is reading, getting any reading, then if result is greater than 0, that is when we are getting reading, it will be greater than 0, then we want the simulation to stop. We want the conveyor belt to stop moving. Okay. So this is it, right? So we'll run the simulation and we'll see what happens. Okay, right. That's what it is happening. But what if I move the box now? If I move the box, it is still stopped, right? Because the last instruction was to tell the conveyor belt if something is there, stop. So we want to correct this as well, right? So to do that, what we do is we go to the proximity sensor scripts. We add a basically, let's see. After, if here what we have written is, if there's no result, if there's result coming up, then you stop the conveyor belt. But if there's no result, it should move, right? So instead of if, we have to also add else. The simulation should move with a constant velocity of 0.1 meters per second. Okay, so we do this and okay, let's just run the simulation. Okay, so now let's see what happens if I move it around. Yeah, the conveyor belt is moving when it's not detecting, right? Okay, so this is all good, but now we want to know how many boxes has been passed through this conveyor line. Okay, now to achieve that, what we have to add a few more lines of code. I'll explain in brief what I'm doing here. Let's just say I have two variables. One is count, which tells basically how many times it has moved. Then another is high. Then is low. Okay. So now these high and low are like a flag. So what we want to tell the simulation script what we want to tell the child script is that whenever there is a translation from high to low, that is when it moves from else to if, only then it increases the flag. Only then only then the counter increases. Okay. So this is the logic which we want to have. So here we have initialized the variables count equal to 0, high equal to 0, and low equal to 0. So now if here's the logic. If the sensor has detected a box, then we make high equal to 1, low equal to 0, and if it is not detected, then we make low equal to 0, low equal to 1, and high equal to 0. Now, if high equal to low, then print, then we have to increase the counter first, right? Count equal to count plus 1, print then we have to print the count, the status of the count, right? So that is count vaccine box count equal to count. Okay, and we end. This is to reset the 0. Okay, so now let's run this. We'll see what happens. Okay, so we have the count equal to 1, right? Now next we just move the box around again, and it should increase, the count should increase, right? Okay, so this is the basics. This is the basic which is required to move further with the problem statement. The details are described in the question sheet. You guys can follow that and try to attempt the problem, right? Okay.